Hey, it's James, Father's Rights and Resources with the hashtag How I Got Custody. Just so you guys know, you can ask questions in the comments. I got 1,000 followers. I appreciate you guys following. Maybe you see me talk harshly to the haters or people who make stupid comments. If you have a question though, and you're trying to learn and you need to know something you don't understand it, you can ask it in the comments. Now, if it's something like, how do I put on my trial? That's a 5 hour answer. You need to learn everything that there needs to know. But if you say, "Hey, I got a motion for reconsideration. Do you know if the deadline, if that stays the appeal or not, or something, you know, or I'm not the father and the mother's acting like I'm the father and the court's saying I can't get visitation until I'm a father. What do I do next?" And most every question that you have is going to end up you're going to need a consult, because if you don't know the answer to something, then you're in the dark, because everything you need to know is out there. And what you really need to learn is how to find stuff. How to find the law, case law, higher court precedent, a court rule that governs when you're, what's your page limit, how many minutes you have for oral argument, when there's the motion 2 weeks ahead of the hearing, and the response is 5 court days before the hearing, and you can reply to the response 2 court days before the hearing. All that kind of stuff are state and local rules. And you need to learn how to look that stuff up, and that usually takes a sit down, and that usually takes a consult. But there's several times if somebody asks a good question and they're really just trying to learn. Like, if you don't know something and you're really sincerely trying to learn something, it shows in the comments. If you're sitting there saying, "How can I fix this when my baby's mom is so crazy," and it's just whining and pouting and you wish it goes away, that oozes through the comments. Now, if you follow me, the first thing I look at in a comment, if a comment is dumb or whatever, I look at their following. If they're not following, that means they're a passerby and they're not here to learn, and they're just here to be a hater, and they're just here to not contribute, or they don't want, not that they have to contribute, but they don't want to get anything out of this page. They just want to whine, cry, piss and moan like everybody else. Like, one guy came by and said, "What are you doing to fix the system?" What are you doing besides whining and crying about it? You're part of the problem. I've been here. If every dad did 1/4 of what I've done to try and change the system would be turned upside down. But 99.99% of dads are lazy or dumb or scared. Now, I never fault anybody that they don't know something about the court system. The only thing I fault guys for is not wanting to try, or thinking it's scary or it's too hard, because that doesn't matter. Your life with your kid is on the line. You had a kid with a crazy person. But if you want to ask questions here, like when I go on YouTube Live, I get a few people asking questions, and the few people who do ask questions ask like a million of them, and they're trying to milk me for, a consult, sometimes a free consult, and it just can't be done. There needs to, it's hard to communicate through comments or through messages on a live or whatever. And I need to know more information, and people will have a hard time communicating stuff. But if people are just running their mouth and dropping comments, and they have no self-awareness as to how their comment is confusing, they're not trying to learn. But if you're trying to learn, you don't got to be afraid that I'm going to chew your head off or whatever. The last guy I did a video on, he came on my page, he said something totally annoying and stupid because he had a loser, coward, sissy mentality toward this, and he didn't want to fight. And he's sitting there analyzing the entire system nationwide as if he's been in every single state like I have. Not physically, but I've been in every single state and every Western country practically. Europe, Canada, Puerto Rico, the 50 states, New Zealand, and Australia. All Western civilization. I've been working with dads for 24 years. And I've seen the only way that they have a chance of winning. And it works when guys do it, but most guys don't want to do it. And I could tell when they just don't want to fight. If you just don't want to fight and you're wishing for something to get fixed, go hire an attorney, and maybe you'll be lucky and you'll get one out of 10,000 attorneys who will actually fight hard for a dad, and they'll get on the offensive and they'll do the work. Like my baby's mom's attorney did that for her. That's easy, representing a woman and doing that. Plus, he had a personal vindictive vendetta against me, and plus, he was a literally sociopath. This guy was about as close to a serial killer as you'll find for an attorney. That's why I've never seen an attorney worse than him. I've seen some people who are close to him. I've never seen anybody worse than him. So, I've seen it all. I had a pushover attorney. I kicked his butt early on. He wasn't that much of a pushover. I had to learn, but anyway, back to the point. You can go ahead and ask questions. Don't be shy about asking questions, but don't try and turn the comments into a consultation. If you need a consultation, you're going to have to get a consultation if you care about your kids and you really want to learn how to fight the right way. But a quickie question, if you're learning some stuff, or if you say, like a question might be, my lawyer is saying I can't do a deposition or won't do discovery, or my lawyer isn't getting his butt in gear and won't answer my calls. Well, my answer is going to be never, ever, ever only call your attorney. You write or email them. And if it's really important they have an answer, what I do is write the attorney, say, I need an answer real quick, blah, blah. They don't get back to me, say, I told you I need an answer 2 days ago. I need you to get back to me within 48 hours. If you don't, you're violating the rules of professional conduct, and you cite the rules of professional conduct. They will immediately get a hold of you. And if it's really important, the issue is really important, I will fax, email, and deliver a letter to the attorney's office and stamp it with their receive stamp, so then they know business. See, this is a game. This is a game, even with your own attorneys. So there's things to do that are not written in the rule book. That's why people need to consult with me. I've seen all the tricks that are off the record and stuff like what I just said. The average person doesn't even know that, doesn't even attempt to do that. But after they get consults with me, or like they get my demand letter packet on how to write an attorney. I had a guy who got $6,000 out of his $12,000 back from his attorney because he used my demand letter packet. I worked with the dad and helped him write a lawsuit, and he represented himself and sued his attorney. He spent $1,500. He hired a big dog law firm. After about 3 conferences with them over the course of like a couple months, month and a half, I was with the guy in on the conferences. So my guy is suing his old attorney who took $1,500 from him and did nothing. And it was just dealing with a restraining order thing. And then that guy hired a big dog law firm. And so me and my guy were talking to the big dog law firm. And after 3 times when we were talking to them, we scared the crap out of them the 3rd time. And they settled for $25,000. He got 18 times his money back. But there are a lot of tricks that we employed that you won't find in any rule book. So you got to learn everything. And what's the big sacrifice or loss if you get help from me? You've already spent $10, $20, $100,000 on an attorney. I'm $80 an hour currently. The initial consult with me is an hour and a half. Everybody needs that. I take $20 off, make it an even 100. And then you can do follow-ups in 30-minute increments. If you do a consult with me and then you get stuck along the way, what is $40 for 30 minutes to continue to learn how to fight for your life with your kid? When Judge Anthony charged $750 an hour, or Family Court Corner charged $250 an hour. Judge Anthony got his ass handed to him. He was a family court judge and a family law attorney, and he lost in his divorce case. And then Family Court Corner, it took her 10 years and $100,000. If she's going to teach you how to represent yourself, you got $100,000 and 10 years to work with? Everybody else that I've seen lost in court. Steve Maeda lost. He's telling guys what to do. You have to get an attorney. And he was full of crap on that. Now, I think he's seen some of my videos because he uses my hashtag how I got cussy sometimes. And he eventually got 50-50 after 7 or 10 years. And, all these guys I criticize, if they hang in there, they prove what I'm talking about. Ryan the Tough Daddy, he hung in there for 7 years and he got 50-50. It's the war of attrition. And these guys don't listen to me and they hate on me early on. In any case, there's more to it than just the rules. It's what you do outside of court as well as what you do inside. But if you have a question and if you're sincere and you're like, and your heart's in the right place and you're not trying to make an excuse to not fight, like you have a question like what I said, how to deal with an attorney, or the mother falsely accused you of this and that, I'll usually give a quickie answer and say you probably need you almost always need a consultation for the full understanding of what's going on. But I'll answer questions if they're legit and sincere questions. There's just a lot of people come across here, they can't believe I won, or they're mad at me for helping people and charging for my time when I got thousands of dollars worth of free stuff on YouTube and in my flow page. So they don't even know what they're talking about. That's why I expose those haters. And so I need to expose them because that's what the problem is with the system. But ask